I want to share one of my favorite stories with you. This is an old parable, a Taoist parable that I call the parable of the horse. And the story goes like this. There's an old man, a farmer, and he was out plowing in his field one day, and out of the blue a horse shows up. So he takes the horse, puts it in his corral, and his neighbor comes running over, says, "How fortunate for you, you have a horse out of nowhere." And he just replies, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" And he goes about doing his thing. The horse is in the corral. The next morning he comes out to discover the horse is gone, and the neighbor comes running over and he says, "How unfortunate. You had a horse and now it's gone." And the old man says, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" And he goes about doing his thing. And then later in the day the horse comes back with 4 additional horses, and the neighbor comes running over all excited saying, "You're so fortunate, your horse came back and now you have 4 horses. What a blessing." And the old man simply replies, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" And he takes the horses, puts them in the corral, and goes about doing his thing. And then his son takes one of the horses to break it in, and he's working with it out in the field. He falls off and he breaks his leg. And the neighbor quickly comes running over and says, "How unfortunate, your son, your only son with a broken leg, this is horrible." And the old man just replies, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" And he goes about doing his thing. And then the next day, the army comes into town, and they're conscripting all the youth to join the army, and they're taking them all, and they take the neighbor's son, and they come to take the old man's son, and they can't because he has a broken leg. So they leave him, and the neighbor quickly comes running over and he says, "How fortunate that your son had a broken leg, because they took my son." And then he pauses and says, "But who knows what is good and what is bad?" And he goes back home, and they both continue to go about their day. And this is my favorite parable because I think it teaches us a really powerful lesson. And the lesson here is that we need to be careful about assigning meaning to things, and as the events unfold in life, one of the mistakes that we make is that we assign meaning and think this is a good thing or a bad thing, in terms of ultimate good and ultimate bad, or this is fortunate, this is unfortunate. And the reality is that the way life presents itself to us, things just happen, and we go about our day, and we make the best of what with what shows up. And the mistake would be to pause and to make meaning behind these things, like the neighbor. One of the misconceptions I think about this story that people will usually bring up to me is, well, I don't want to be like this old man who goes through life without emotion and doesn't really care about anything. Like, who knows what's good, who knows what's bad? But I don't think that's what's being portrayed in this story. I like to imagine that the old man was full of emotion and was excited when the horse showed up. He was sad and hurt when he realized his son broke his leg. You know, when things happen in life, we have emotion. That's natural. But the mistake that we make is like what the neighbor does, where he comes over and he immediately assigns meaning. This must mean this, and this must mean that. And a lot of our suffering is to be found in the meaning that we've assigned to events as they unfold in our lives. And that's why I love this parable. So hopefully you can take this story and keep this in mind next time something happens to you in life. Just pause for a minute and ask yourself, who knows what is good and what is bad?